Hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 2024 presidential election and a specific matchup that I've heard a lot of people talking about, which is California Governor Gavin Newsom versus former President Donald Trump. So this will be one of a few scenarios I'll do. I'll do J.B. Pritzker, I'll do Hillary Clinton, but I'm really working with the assumption that Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee. And I think this because he seems the conventional wisdom now more than ever seems that he's going to run again. It's more a question of when he will announce than when than if he will run. Some people think it'll be this year. I think it'll be 2023 because the thing is, if he announces, some people are saying 4th of July, which is today. If he announces this month or before the midterms, I think that hurts Republicans because they need to win over uh, a lot of moderate Biden voters to flip the House and to win these Senate seats because they're running in narrow Biden areas, and so in order for that to happen, they need for Trump to kind of not be on the scene as much. Now, Trump running would help Republicans in like a few seats, like your Michigan 8s or your Ohio 9s. The working class seats Democrats are still holding on to that are very much in play for the Republicans. But I think the Republicans are already going to win a lot of those seats, right? Like Copter, in Ohio 9, he's retiring, but like Wisconsin 3, like they're already going to flip at least a couple of those seats. And Trump would only probably have an upside of 2 or 3 more seats anyways, but he'd probably lose, he'd probably hurt them in 20 or 30 or 40 more suburban seats. So Trump's not exactly like the most, generic politician. He's very unique in many ways. And so that makes him more unpredictable. But I think at the same time, I think for him too, it would be better if the Republicans took over Congress in the midterms because they would make Biden look even more ineffective than he is right now. So I really think that Trump is going to announce in 2023 if he does indeed run. Gavin Newsom, for him, there's just been a lot of talk about this. There's been a lot of, Biden's going to be too old in 2024. Kamala Harris is one of the most disliked politicians in the country. So it's, kind of an open field. And if it's not Biden or Harris, let's talk about Pritzker, Cooper, Newsom. But it's mostly just the Democrats have a slate of very interesting governors. I think California, Illinois, Michigan, North Carolina are, 4 states that I think the Democrats really like what they have in terms of their governors, in terms of presidential prospects. So I think when you look at these governors, we should look at all of them against Trump. And Newsom's, I think, an interesting one. So we're just going to get started with this video now. So for Newsom, I think he'd win his home state, California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, and the 1st District of Maine, as well as the District of Columbia. By safe margins, that's 191 safe electoral votes for him. Trump, I think, he'd do well in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, the Dakotas, all of Nebraska. Actually, this is interesting. We're not going to touch Nebraska one just yet. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri. Iowa's really close. I don't know. I think I'll just put it as likely, but it's essentially safe. The normal safe states, your Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, probably, because I think Newsom, unless he had like a better running mate, I think black turnout wouldn't really be that good for him. So yeah, that's kind of the starting map. Iowa's, a bit of a technicality because it's like essentially safe, because I do think Iowa's going to vote to the left of or to the right of Kansas starting 2024. So now for Newsom, his likely states, I think Virginia is the first thing that comes to mind. New Hampshire too, although New Hampshire could be interesting, especially if the Republicans do well in 2022 there, because they have 2 competitive House seats, a kind of competitive Senate race. So we'll have to see that. But I think that's really it for the likely Newsom states. I don't really see. New Mexico is going to be close between likely and Lee, because Trump did quite well. And he didn't do well, but Republicans have been doing pretty well in New Mexico in the past few years. And if Ronchetti wins the governor's race in 2022, it will be a pretty good sign. And if they can win the 2nd district, which is a toss-up district, and if they can win the, I think the 1st district, which is a lean, likely Democratic seat, if Republicans have the ability to prove themselves in New Mexico in 2022. So if they do that, then I might move down to lean. But for now, I'll put it as likely. So yeah, I think that is it for Newsom's likely states. Trump's got a bit more. So First, the first district in Nebraska is a seat that Trump won by 11 in 2020. He won the old one by like 15, but they redistricted, so it's only a Trumpless 11th district, and it's going to get like Trump might do better in 2024 than 2020, but that's a seat that's unequivocally trending left. And the Democrats actually there was a special election. The Democrats only lost it by 6 points. So it was it was quite the performance for Democrats in that special election. So yeah. Now next up after Nebraska 1, Kansas 2, or not Kansas 2, but like the state of Kansas was Trump plus 15 in 2020. It'll probably get a few points bluer. Trump plus 12, Trump plus 13-ish. Alaska 2. Alaska's only Trump plus 11. It'll probably go, it could actually be single digits if Newsom plays his cards right. Although, again, it's Alaska. He probably won't spend too much time campaigning there. Florida's really, Florida could be lean, but I'll put it as likely because I think Trump's going to, because the thing is, in 2016, Trump had a lot of obstacles in Florida. He still won it by 1.5 points. In 2020, he was down in the polls. He won it by over 3%. So I just think we have like this pattern of underestimating Trump in Florida, and I don't want to be guilty of that. So I think, 4 to 6% of the ballpark, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here. Say he wins it by a little more than 5% because DeSantis and Rubio are probably going to win by likely margins. Newsom, I don't think has that much Hispanic appeal. Like when you look at his 2018 gubernatorial run, and obviously he still has room to improve, right? But when you look at his 2018 election and likely 2022, he underperformed Hillary Clinton with Hispanics, and so I'm not so sure if that will continue. But I think in Florida, the Democrats are kind of just cursed there, so Florida likely Republican. Main second district, obviously Trump plus 7, trending right. That should be pretty solid for the Republicans. Same with Ohio, not too much talking about here. It was Trump plus 8 in 2020, despite the fact it's expected to be very close. He'll probably win it by double digits this time around. So I think this is kind of like your battlegrounds, I guess you could say. So yeah, Newsom. Let's start with Newsom. I think Newsom would win Minnesota. I say he wins Minnesota because I think he's gonna do fairly well in the Minneapolis area, and he might fall a little bit in the rural and working class areas, but it's still Minnesota. It's still a bluer state, and the Democrats do well in Minnesota for whatever reason, and so I think Newsom would win by 4 or 5 points. Georgia, I'm a little skeptical of Georgia. The thing with Georgia is that it is the Georgia Democrats are very good at what they do, and I don't think Newsom has a ton of appeal to black voters. But at the same time, when you look at Trump did really poorly in Georgia, and he, even though he might do better nationwide in 2024 than 2020, it's just really hard to envision Trump somehow outrunning, because the suburbs are trending blue so quickly, and it's just really hard to envision Trump outrunning himself 2020 in the suburbs, because he's gotten, I think in many ways, more right-wing, more divisive, more extreme in the eyes of suburban voters since 2020. And so for that reason, I think he would lose Georgia by just over 2 or 3%. All right, so that's it for the lean Democratic states. Trump, I think it means Texas is the first lean Republican state. Again, Texas itself isn't going to flip in 2024. I'd be very surprised if it flipped. What I will say, though, is that Texas is going to be, I think, no matter what happens, even if the Republicans do really well, I think it'll trend right. So let's just actually, because I just want to simplify this, okay? So this is just for the people who think Texas isn't trending blue. In 2000, Bush won it by 23%. 2008, Obama, he did really well nationwide, did well in Texas for that time. He almost cut the margin in half. He lost it by 12 points. 2012, Mitt Romney wins it by almost 16, so it does shift a little bit to the right. Although, again, when you look at the areas that shifted right in Texas, there is a losing population. It wasn't really sustainable for Romney, and just the country got so much redder between 2008 and 2012. So Romney plus 16 in 2012, 2016. Clinton brings it down to a 9-point margin of victory for Donald Trump. In 2020, Biden only loses Texas by about 5.5%. So you can't tell me Texas isn't trending blue. I'm not saying it's going to flip. What I am saying is that I think it's going to narrow up to maybe 3 or 4 point margin for the Republicans. So next up for the lean Republican states, I'm only going to put Wisconsin. It's not even that I think Newsom's this awful candidate for working class voters the way Biden would be in 2024 or Harris. It's just that the thing with Wisconsin is that it's so rural, it's so white, and the Democrats will do better in Waukesha County in the suburbs of Milwaukee, but like you're talking about a state that is just so generically Republican and that is trending red at such a rapid rate that I just like no matter what the Democrats do in 2024, they're probably losing Wisconsin. It was only Biden plus 0.8, and it took like a Herculean effort from Madison and Milwaukee to keep Democrats afloat in the state for such a long time, and now it's just like okay, well, Milwaukee's losing population. The northern part of the state's trending red because like there are a lot of rural areas in Wisconsin that Republicans can do a lot better in. So I think they'll be fine in Wisconsin long term. Next up for Trump, I mean, I think North Carolina can make an argument for, but I just think it is trending blue, and like the thing with North Carolina is that in 2020 Biden only lost it by like a point and a half, and black turnout was still pretty bad. So I don't know. I think it could narrow up. Newsom though, I think Newsom. So the first state that comes to mind is Michigan. I really do think that Newsom would do quite well in Michigan, and like it's not because he again is this great candidate for the working class. Like he'd probably lose Macomb County. He wouldn't do that well with working class Michiganders. But I do think that he would do very well in the suburbs against Trump. I think he has a wide range of appeal because he has progressive policies, right? Like there are things he can campaign on to get people who might have stayed home or might not have been happy about voting for Biden in 2020 or didn't vote for Hillary in 2016. I think he can get those voters out. But he also has like this moderate kind of, I guess, persona, and I think that will help him do well in the suburbs, in left trending suburbs that really don't like Trump. And so I think I could see Newsom squeaking it out by, a little under 2 points if I had to guess. I don't really. This is tough for me because I don't really know where. Okay, so what I will say is that I think Pennsylvania and North Carolina are going to go for Trump. Again, like this is like very, like North Carolina is the first off this list because it was only Trump plus 1.4. It's trending blue. When you look at what happened between 2012 and 2016, the environment got about a point redder, but Clinton did the same as Obama in North Carolina. Then in 2020, the environment got 2% bluer, and Biden did 2% better than Clinton nationwide. And I think that like when you look at that and you say, okay, well, North Carolina, the thing is, black turnout wasn't even that good in 2020. And Biden only lost it by a point and a half. Like Democrats, there's absolutely a path for Democrats in North Carolina. I just don't think Newsom's the one to do it. So I think he loses by kind of a Biden-esque margin in North Carolina. Pennsylvania, that one's, it's kind of close because I don't think Newsom would I think Newsom would do fine in the Philadelphia suburbs, but I just don't see him appealing to voters in Pittsburgh or voters in Scranton. And I just think it's like there are areas of Pennsylvania that are trending blue, there are areas that are trending red. I just think that Pennsylvania in 2024 is kind of going to shift a little bit to the right no matter what. So Newsom, I do think he wins or that he loses Pennsylvania. So it's really just Nevada and Arizona. I have like no idea how these states would go. Like if I had to guess, I would say like I don't really know because the thing is Arizona's trending left at a faster pace, but I don't know. I just okay. I think I'll give Trump Arizona. It's just to me it's unbelievably close in these two states. Wait, what's it? Oh, I forgot to label Nebraska too for Newsom. But yeah, it's just for me it's these are really close states. Nevada, I'm putting blue because it's really just turnout. It's a turnout operation for Democrats. In 2020, they didn't have like Clark County turnout was bad for Democrats in 2020, right? They still won it by 2.5%. And I think Cortez Masto and Sisolak are going to win in November. I think that the Nevada Democrats are going to do a fine job in getting their voters out because they're still like the Nevada Democrats are still pretty good at what they do. So Newsom, I could see him, and also like there are like some California transplants in like Washoe County and like Tahoe area that I think will come out for Newsom better than they did for Biden. And once you reopen the campuses, because in 2020 it was like shut down a lot of it, and that depressed Democratic turnout. Like once you get all that stuff, and like once you get the Vegas economy back, I think Nevada votes for Newsom. Although again, like if the economy is terrible in 2024, then it probably flips red. Arizona. Like Arizona is like a real toss-up. The thing is, I think Newsom has like an underrated path to victory because I don't think he's a great candidate for the Rust Belt, but I really could see him just eking it out in the suburbs because that's I think where his strength is. Like he has he's kind of like a better version of Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton isn't that great of a candidate, but like at the same time, she still did quite well in the suburbs for her time. And I think when you look at Newsom, he's kind of like that. But in 2024, the suburbs were actually blue, whereas in 2016, they were much more purple. So, yeah, I think Arizona's going to be close, though. I just think the Hispanic turnout isn't great for Newsom in Arizona the way it is in Nevada. And that just makes me think Arizona narrowly goes for Trump because it was, again, I currently have Kelly losing. I currently have Hobbs losing. I currently, Biden only won up by 0.3%. So I think Arizona's going to be red for the next few years before getting blue long term. So, yeah, that's it for this prediction. Again, quite, I think quite interesting scenario. And I think it'd be really close, but as of right now, I think Trump will be favored over Gavin Newsom. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. See you all in the next one. Bye, guys.